I wondered what themes you like to invest in. What's your sweet spot?
Well, we just do tech,
Okay.
tech investing, and in Europe we're rare enough in that the team is all from industry. So we're from semiconductors and software backgrounds, long careers. So you have people in the team that are entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs that have done a few companies, executives, so CEO, CFO, COO type
Yes.
roles.
Yep.
And that's not the common, it is in the US, but it's not in Europe, the common approach, where typically venture capital is drawn from the financial industry.
Yes.
We don't like taking product risk, so we like to move a little bit beyond the curve. We have done it, but and in our first fund we've got a mix of some early and mid stage, but we prefer, as I said, to move beyond the seed in the first round and then
Okay.
so with a
Okay.
scaling type stage.
Yep.
But we're not religious about, if you have an opportunity where you have a serial entrepreneur who has a fantastic record in a particular domain,
Yep.
of interest to us. In terms of technologies, they sometimes change, but generally speaking, mobile wireless has been a big feature of what we have done, both in our tech backgrounds and in our businesses.
Okay.
Mobile wireless cloud computing is such a huge paradigm shift and trend.
Yep.
Security around that, security software. It's the web infrastructure rather than necessarily. It's very difficult to know, or back what's the next Facebook or Twitter. So we probably focus a little bit more on the infrastructures that enable those businesses. Digital home networking, internet everywhere. So technologies like Wi-Fi Direct, which both is kind of a home and a wireless play. So we set the domains, and then we try and we obviously keep them under review, and they change sometimes, but we then go out and try and find the companies within those domains. So we probably have 5 or 6 domains that are relatively broad, but we stick to those, and they're areas that we have guys that have domain knowledge, expertise,
Yes.
etc. in. So we try to stick to what we know.
Brilliant. What do you look for in women entrepreneurs and startups that indicate interest to you in investing in their businesses?
Well, there's not many of them. That's the first problem.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So I think, and I don't think there's anything different in terms of what we look
Okay.
for between a woman entrepreneur or a guy. I think in general, when you meet women entrepreneurs, you find that they are incredibly energetic, passionate, and focused about their business,
Yes.
and that's really critical. And they probably have that in spades, maybe a little bit more than some of the guys, just purely because they've had to even get to the stage where they're able to maybe spin something out, back something out, or start something up.
Yes.
But genuinely, I've been disappointed in terms of just the numbers coming through. Although I see some, I mean, they say never waste a crisis. I think the current recession, particularly in Ireland, and indeed across Europe, actually will probably long term be a very good driver for women entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And
I agree.
I think there's probably better structures now, and we can talk about some of those later on. But I think in general, from an entrepreneur, we look for that they are very passionate about what they are about to do or want to do.
Yes.
That they have fantastic knowledge, domain knowledge about the market, the product, the competitors, not just the technology, but how it actually sits into the ecosystem and how it's going to compete, and then finally how they're going to take it to market. A lot of entrepreneurs don't actually think about might have great technology, but they haven't worked out quite what the sales strategy, what the business plan is, and how they're going to actually get it into the market. So I think they're kind of personal type and professional attributes. You want them also, I think, to be keen listeners, and I mean in the sense open to taking in input. We're not particularly passive investors. Entrepreneurs aren't passive people either. So you back entrepreneurs, you don't hire them. You hire CEOs, you don't hire entrepreneurs. So we back teams, we back entrepreneurs and teams, and so that's what we're looking for first and foremost. And not easy to find the ones that are truly world class, but you can find guys that can absolutely grow and scale and benefit from our mistakes ultimately as entrepreneurs, as previous entrepreneurs and company founders. And and our successes as well. And you're hoping to basically pass that on, but to be able to do that, they got to be open to it.
Very good. What can women entrepreneurs and startups do to increase their chances in sourcing venture from your perspective?
I think that's a very good question. I asked that myself. I think women have got to really be much more confident in themselves and have much more belief in themselves and be a little bit more ballsy in going out there and sourcing capital and be willing, to get no's, because the reality is you get a lot of no's in this business. You get a lot of, people, and actually you don't even get the no is the problem. A lot of people don't even tell you no. The good guys tell you no, say, for the following reasons. So I think, I think women aren't as good at getting out there and networking and being a little bit before, we're not for, it would never be said about us that we're backward and going, we're too backward and going forward, which we are.
Yes.
So I think we need to be a little bit more, and typically you find women entrepreneurs are product experts, so they've been the code monkey, they've been the one that has built the product, or they know that, they know the space well, and then they're completely blind on, say, sales, pushing, marketing, getting out there. I think those kind of front of house skills, as I call them, as opposed to the back house skills. I think we've got to be much, much more confident in our ability front of house and take a chance, So I think, guys are much more willing to, give it a whirl. Let's spin it. Let's quietly beavering away. We don't really shine the light very, very brightly, the women entrepreneurs, in terms of saying, look how fabulous I am and look what a fabulous product I have. So in selling ourselves, I think we've just got to be much more confident and a little bit more outgoing. And I don't want to use the word aggressive, but being more proactive about pushing and be open and be very aware that we're probably going to suffer a lot of rejection. You're going to get a lot of rejection, but you just need one to say yes. You can take no's if you get one yes. But I think familiarity with the process. I think that's fair. Women just aren't familiar with the VC process because quite frankly, this generation of women entrepreneurs are standing on the shoulders of the previous generation of women, and there wasn't many of them that were out there as entrepreneurs. So they're really pioneers in cutting new ground. And so I think that's where we have to look at the supports and the mentoring and to help kind of give them a framework of this is what you need to expect, because women are really fast learners. So they don't need to be told things twice. So we just need to, I think, you don't expect people to do it in a vacuum, I think, is the reality. It's going to be difficult for them to do it in a vacuum. And I think network. I think we've got to be much better at networking. I mean, women should have a bias now towards networking with other women, with other successful women, and other successful women owe us to the next generation of women to put a hand down and pull them up. So I think at all levels, both the women that have been successful either in venture or in industry and finance, we need to be much, much more cohesive as a group and in trying to bring women entrepreneurs forward. So the reality is that you need a lot of support. Entrepreneurs need a lot of support in any event, but as a minority, within a minority, women entrepreneurs just need more, I think, coaching, mentoring, support to understand the rules of the game, as it were.
That's one of the reasons I've been doing these interviews. And I think the other piece that happens in Europe, having lived in Ireland and the UK, is that failure, which is obviously part of the deal when you're doing these sort of startups or ventures, is culturally looked at differently than it would be, say, in the US. And I'm wondering how you tackle that, I guess, with female entrepreneurs, because women would tend to want to really make sure that they succeed. That's what I've heard from other VCs and women founders, and that may be also where the numbers are falling down.
That's a very good point. I think it's very true. I mean, failure is very difficult, and culturally, if you look at, there is a cultural aspect to this, and if you look at the US, it's a badge of honour. Certainly in VC, it's a bit of a badge of honour, believe it or not, in some respects, because I love a guy to come in and to say, we did this, but we failed, because I immediately think, well, you know what, he's gone off and bled in somebody else's carpet, So he knows, right? He knows now. He's worth backing.
Yeah.
And so culturally there's an issue, and then gender-wise, I think you're right. Women always aspire, to be top of the class, and I think failure doesn't come naturally to us, and we're not probably natural risk takers either. That's the other.
Yes.
That's the corollary of that.
Yes.
So I think. I think again it comes back to people getting, to the extent they're in the world, of tech, venture, finance, they're going to see, hey, you know what? A lot of other people fail. It's a bit like, the banks here in Ireland. I kind of say, they were run by guys. You know what, girls? We can't do any worse than them. They've made such a screw up of it.
Yes.
Better, right?
Yeah.
So women need to think like that.